Mr. Schwab and associated members of the World Economic Forum. Thank you for the opportunity to present my philosophies regarding a code of ethics for corporate executives. First of all, I'd like to point out that both lawyers and doctors are required to adhere to a strict code of conduct. This fact is well known, but I believe the importance of this code stems from the gravity of the job, its inherent risk, and liability. As a doctor, you make decisions that surpass simple knowledge-based conclusions. Decisions that require extensive reasoning of ethical principles. For instance, most people could deduce that a good solution to aching joints is an ice pack, but what about end-of-life care? What about basic DNR requests as a child lies waiting for his mother in the hallway? As difficult as these questions are, they cannot be left up for individual interpretation. The consequences are too grave and the effects are too reaching. Similarly, lawyers find themselves in a similar niche. Without ethical restrictions, a well-intentioned but misguided lawyer may lead an unsuspecting individual to a life of hard time. So what of corporate executives? Is the gravity and potential impacts of their positions comparable to and as far-reaching as that of a doctor and a lawyer? Absolutely. While the effects of a CEO's personal decision may not directly affect whether or not a patient lives or dies, or even determines whether or not they spend the rest of their lives behind bars, each decision they make sets out the tone for those beneath them. These decisions determine how products will be produced. They determine the limits of acceptable labor practices for their corporation. Will child labor be involved? They also determine the acceptability of the corporate's negative impact on the environment. Unfortunately, these decisions may have even more pronounced and immediate results. In December of 1984, a cloud of methyl isocyanate gas was inadvertently released from a pesticide plant into the surrounding towns of Bhopal. The death toll from this event was in excess of 15,000 people, and over 600,000 people were exposed. The plant was owned by Union Carbide, a corporation you're probably familiar with, having produced household products like Energizer batteries and Glad trash bags. While there were significant engineering aspects contributing to this incident, it was greatly assisted by corporate management cost-cutting measures. Had the CEO made more ethical decisions, the incident at Bhopal likely never would have occurred. Executives, like doctors and lawyers, require guidance and restrictions, not to inhibit corporate growth or to stifle innovation, but to set ground rules for acceptable corporate behavior. An international executive code of conduct should address child labor, limitations on overtime and basic human rights, limitations on environmental impacts, and minimum safety requirements and external safety regulations for multinational corporations. Companies should be held culpable for violations of this code of conduct. Companies have the right to make a profit, but this profit must not come at the cost of our children, our basic human rights, and our planet.